Okay, so I'm going to share with you guys my new 70K Bitcoin trade plan. So this trade plan, and I'm going to show you guys the difference between how this one, it's still going to be with BitU, but how this one is mostly similar to the last BitU swing trade that I closed out a week ago, where I made $7,500 on. It was like a 2 week long trade. Um, this one is going to be most of the same, but there is one different element. But as of right now, I invested 20K into the trade to get it started. I do, and right now it's down just a little bit as of market close. It's not reflecting after hours fluctuations, but I do plan that position to continue to come down a little bit because we are keeping for a while. And this is all just my own opinion and how I'm approaching it. In no ways am I telling anyone to copy, just because obviously it doesn't have to work out. But I am being very responsible by just keeping an eye on the bigger picture value areas and how macro economic views influences these all this that you're seeing and how that influences. And I'm going to break it down for you guys as well. But basically, this trade is, again, it's very similar to the last one where we were keeping track of deep value retracement. So from this overall swing low that we had early in April, the CME gap, when it closed, and as the price continues to go up higher, we were taking small, and I made a ton of videos on this, keeping track of small fib retracements and fib extensions to take small long trades until we eventually have signals at the top, or that the price is topped out. Then eventually we came down and we started accumulating a bit early, but that's okay. I continued to accumulate, understanding that the overall deep value retracement will be the purple area. At the time, the purple area was like $3,000 lower. But it bottomed out, it broke into it, it found support, and it went up much higher. So after accumulating, support held, we went up higher, and I closed out the position around right here when I got confirmation that this retracement area, or not retracement, this extension, which is a resistance, is actually holding. And instead we're looking for one more retracement before we go up to the next 1.236 extension at 128,000. So I closed it out, and as of right now, we've been seeing the price trade sideways, and it's showing signs of still some short-term weakness. I'm going to show you guys what those signs are as well in a moment. But during this last swing trade that I closed a week ago, I wanted to invest 70K. This is an opportunity for me to, bring up that trade one more time and actually top it out by investing 70,000 into it, because I only invested 50,000 into it. I wanted to capture some uptrend exposure as we continue to go up higher into this green area, but it happened so quickly I couldn't invest the last 20K. So this time around, I want to be a bit more aggressive, because now with the macro view, regardless of what CPI was recently, expectations are mostly realistic when it comes to the FOMC meeting coming up next week. So I am, in no means shy from accumulating and averaging in this trade until we find support within this area, or even sooner. That's why I want to accumulate early, because a lot of big fluctuations in Bitcoin tend to happen as well during market closed hours. So there's no reason for me to be overly patient, but at the same time, I do plan to accumulate more, and I'm going to show you guys when I want to do that as well. But basically, as of right now, during the last trade, I was given a lot of examples within this 2024 price structures, which are very, very similar. And I kept bringing this up, and it actually happened exactly like that for the most part. And I'm going to explain what I mean. It's very similar to this right here. So where we, earlier this year, 80K and below was deep value. We tested that 3 times. In 2024, it was basically 54.5K. We went below that 3 times before we ended up breaking the previous overall swing high, coming down into the overall retracement, finding support, and going up into the next fib extension area. This is a smaller picture extension where we maxed it out, and then we started seeing some weakness in the short term. But during this weakness, the overall retracement was beginning at 65.7K, and it broke into it very briefly, but it reached it. And then from there, we started a new, trend where even though we made a lower high, we held a higher low, and then the next one just completely crushed it, and we started from there fluctuating much, much higher. So now, instead of paying attention to this like we were doing before, now I'm trying to pay attention more to this move right here, because this move right here, where it went up into the orange, the bullish extension area, is very similar to this. So we came up from support and the overall deep value support. We broke previous swing highs, crushed it. We made a new all-time high at this time. We came down, and this took a little bit longer, but we did come down into the overall retracement, and we found support, and we went up into, and this is the equivalent to the orange extension area in 2024, this blue one. We maxed it out, and now we are trading, sort of trying to trade lower. We have some short-term weakness, that being the RSI has not exhausted itself to the downside. We're still holding this lower high structure. The lower lows are not very significant, and we recently finally, and this was highly expected, and I covered this as it was happening too, like in not yesterday's video, because we did break below it, but the one before that and the one before that, we were keeping track of smaller picture supports with a simple triangle pattern. I said it's very likely for the price to break to the downside, because we still have eyes on this retracement area, and we don't have bullish confirmation, and the RSI has not bottomed out yet. So based on that simply, and we came into this orange retracement, we couldn't break the 0.5 at 115,300. So, it's possible that we can continue to see fluctuations as volume attempts to pick up and potentially move the price lower, allowing us to begin adding even more aggressively within this first 0.35 red retracement at 114.5K. Now, it doesn't have to happen, but until we have bullish confirmation, and I've talked about this so many times before, so I won't do it in this video, but until we have bullish confirmation, there's no reason for me to be, rushed into adding even more to this swing trade. Now, of course, that will allow me to miss out on accumulating a lot more. The 70,000 that I want to accumulate, so far only 20,000. And when the price pumps, I won't make as much as I could. I'll still make a decent profit, but not as much as I could. But that's okay, because without bullish confirmation, I am not going to let FOMO take over. I will wait for bullish confirmation for me when I add, as a way to add before we go up to the 1.236 extension at 128,000. But since we don't have bullish confirmation, then I am completely okay with waiting, allowing these smaller position, and I'm very, very much focused on risk management. I'm very much focused on position sizing. This trade is not something that if it doesn't work out, it will not hurt me. This is why it's so important to focus on position sizing and the time duration of your trades, your own risk management. But basically, since we don't have bullish confirmation, I want to add more. In this case, it will be 10K instead of the previous trade where I was adding 5K at a time. This one, I want to add $10,000 at a time, and I would add 10,000 to this BitU trade every time we reach another fib area. So the next fib area will basically be at 115.5K. After that, it will be 114.5. So 115.5, 114.5, and then 113.5, And if we do come down into this blue area, which overlaps with the overall retracement, this blue area, and I'll just accumulate the rest of it there, because the moment we come into this area, a lot of that, um, a lot of the selling pressure, I believe, will die off very quickly. This area is between 108 to 114.5K, is very likely where we can start seeing, a bottom attempt to create. And if a bottom is created, we will, I would not be surprised, and it's just my opinion, to see a very quick recovery out of this back up over, our current trading structures averaging around 118K before we go up, make a new all-time high, and reach the next fib extension, right? Line, the next fib extension line. So I'm not going to be, shy, because, and I've talked about this so much in the previous videos, but basically the macroeconomic view, expectations in the market related to now the CPI report that we have available, expectations for the FOMC. It's all just, and then tariffs aren't really a big fear right now, because a lot of expectation is as well that tariffs are, we're gonna see we're gonna see some good stuff happen potentially before the August deadline. So that is also a deadline I'm very much focused on, because depending where the price is at within the structures and the value areas that I continue to draw, um, I would know if I want to be aggressive, or if I want to shy away, depending on where the price is at. But as of right now, we're not there. We're getting there. We're still waiting on FOMC first. And I do believe that, as long as, I mean, if the price goes up from here, if it begins to go up, I'll be very careful though, because I'll probably add as it gets closer to this area. But if we get back over 120K, easily over 122,000 before the FOMC, I will be probably looking to sell portions of the BitU trade as we near the FOMC, because increase in price prior to a FOMC meeting, which the results are expected, for the Fed to hold rates, and, but, we'll see what else he says. But at that point, it can be a sudden news event. It can be the value of that can be factored in, and then the short term bulls can easily exit, take their profit, exit, and the price can drop. So I'm gonna be very cautious with that. Ideally, if we do continue, but I'll keep you guys updated on what I'm looking for. But ideally, if we do see decrease in prices prior to FOMC, I believe that can be a very bullish setup personally, and I will be taking advantage of it, and I will be showing you guys the trade and the value of it regardless of the results. So yeah, guys, that's basically it. There's not much else to say right now. Let's see how Wednesday's, or no, it's Monday right now. So we'll see how Tuesday's US market trading session goes and how that correlates with Bitcoin. So yeah, 20,000 invested into a new Bitcoin trade, with the plan of adding a total of 70,000 into $70,000 into BitU for the opportunity of capturing the next area. And I did say this in a previous video, and I say this a lot in all kinds of time structures or time frames, but every time, in my own opinion, we have the volume to reach a extension area, we tend to see weakness before we reach the next level of the area, because if we have enough momentum to even go into a fib extension, it's very likely that even at a minimum we have enough momentum to reach the 1.3236 extension and enter the median area as the next step. And this happens so often, and every time it happens like in a very, very similar view, where every time we reach the next levels of a fib extension, we see weakness, allowing it to retrace below it, and then it quickly pops up back into it. It's kind of funny how that happens like 8 out of 10 times. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video, and I'll keep you guys updated. Hope you enjoyed. Take care.